Hi. So we're going to talk today about squares and rectangles. Um, so we talked a little bit about vertical and horizontal this week. We know all about perpendicular lines and parallel lines. And the reason why we went over all of that so carefully is so that you can understand more about squares and rectangles. So I've already folded my paper and I'm going to go ahead and screen share it for you. All right. So there's my paper. So one of the objectives of this lesson, and this is a two-part lesson, one of the objectives is for you to understand and apply the properties of squares and rectangles. So we're going to look at what are the properties of a square. Okay, so this is a square and it has several properties. It's a four-sided figure. So it has four sides. It's also enclosed, right? The four sides are sealed off and enclosed. It has four sides of the same length. So if we were to look at the measurements of a square, AB is 15 inches, BC is 15 inches, CD is 15 inches, and DA is 15 inches. So all four sides are the same length. And that's what this is showing you. AB equals BC equals CD equals DA. Now, sometimes when you are measuring, you use a thing called a tick mark, which I've never in any math book have they ever talked about this, and tick marks are super helpful. So there are tick marks. This is a tick mark right here, this little slash that's halfway between each of the line segments. The tick marks show that the lengths of all the sides are equal. So I know by looking at the tick marks without seeing the 15, like if we were doing a puzzle problem and the measurement of 15 was missing, I could look at the tick marks and say, all four sides are the same, right? Even if I didn't know they were all 15, I would know that they were all the same because of the tick marks. Opposite sides are parallel. So AD is parallel to BC and DC is parallel to AB, right? So all four sides are parallel. And a square also has four right angles. So we have right angle D, right angle C, right angle B, right angle A. And each one of them equals 90. So this young lady is telling us in figure ABCD, the length of each side is 15 inches. All right. And it already shows us that. She's just reminding us of that. Excuse me for my yawn. All right. Now we're going to look at a rectangle. So we're going to identify a rectangle and we're going to look at its properties. So this is a rectangle. This is a purple rectangle. A rectangle is a four-sided figure. Its opposite sides are of equal length. So this side has to be of equal length with this side. This side has to be of equal length with this side. So EF is equivalent to HG and EH is equivalent to FG. The tick marks show that the lengths of the opposite sides are equal. See how both of these are 30 and there's two tick marks, and then these are 12 and there's one tick mark. So if you got rid of all the measurements, I could look at the tick marks and I could go, oh, these two sides are the same. Oh, these two sides are the same. Because this has a double tick mark and this has a single tick mark. Its opposite sides are parallel. So if a rectangle has two pairs of parallel sides, EF is parallel. So EF is parallel to HG and EH is parallel to FG, right? Also, it has four right angles, angle F, angle G, angle H, angle E. They each measure 90 degrees. Okay, so we're going to look at the figures on the grid. So we're going to look at X, Y, and Z. And let's make this chart on our paper. Okay, we have enough room to make that chart. We'll do it at the first chunk of our paper. So let's go ahead and write our name at the top. And we're doing lesson number, what did we say this was? Ooh, 11.1. We're moving on along through math, aren't we? I'm really proud of you guys for working so hard and fast that we're exactly where we were last year. Only we haven't even been in class one single day. So that's pretty impressive. You guys have been working really hard. All right, let's make this little chart. We have, and I'm gonna get my ruler out. So I have a chart that looks like this. And this top part says property. And then there are, let's see, property, and then this says figure. Let's see, I go like this. And then I'm going to go like this and cut this in half. And this needs to have 3. And then over here, we need to actually have 7. So we're going to go like this. Let's divide it first. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. I have never had more sneezing. I've sneezed more in the past few days. I think it must be springtime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm just going to go across as evenly as I can, even-ish. I'm going to just go like this. Make my little chart. Don't do it without a ruler. When we're doing geometry, we always want to use rulers because, oops, and my ruler has purple ink all over it and is smudging. That is a shame. Okay. So up here, we're going to write property. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have this little blob right here. So we're going to make it into a little happy face. 5, 6, 7. All right. So number 1 says, and this says figure up here. And this says X, Y, and Z. And this says has 4 sides. And they have checked each one of these boxes. And then the next thing says all sides are of equal length. Opposite sides are of equal length. This says it has exactly 1 pair. of parallel sides. Has exactly 2 pairs of parallel sides. Number 6 says has exactly 4 right angles. And then number 7 says has exactly 2 right angles. Okay. So we have, I'm going to draw them over here. So I have one that looks like this. It's got, let's draw X first. So I'm going to draw X as 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. And then the side is going to be 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. And then this is going to be 3 1/2 inches. And then this connects. So basically, if you were to look at this, gotta use my protractor here. So if you were to look at this, this would look roughly like this. We have this, this, and then this is 2 long. 1, 2. Okay, so this is actually a 1/3 length. This is X. Y is a rectangle. It's 4 by 2. So we're going to go 4 by 2. And I'm going to kind of draw the rest with my protractor. I really hate how my metal ruler gets when you get ink on it. I need to clean it. Leaves a mess. So this one looks like this. And this is Y. And then Z, we have one that's 2 by 2. Also now have purple all over my desk. So I'm gonna have to wipe off my desk. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. And this is Z. Okay. So all I've done is I've drawn what's up here. This is X, this is Y, this is Z. And then this is our little table right here. And we're just going to compare them. All right. So let's look and see. All sides are of equal length. Well, this is 2, this is 2, this is 2, this is 3. So no. On Y, this is 4, this is 4, this is 2. So no. This is a square, yes. So these are 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So we're going to click yes or we're going to hit yes on Z. Opposite sides are of equal length. No on X, because this one's 2 and this one's 3. 4 and 4, 2 and 2. So we're going to say yes on Y. And 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. So we're going to say yes on Z. Has exactly one pair of parallel sides. Okay, this one has one pair. These are parallel. These are not. This has two pairs. These are parallel. These are parallel. These are parallel. These are parallel. So only one pair is X, right? Has exactly two pairs of parallel sides. Yes and yes. And no, on that one, it only has one pair. Has exactly 4 right angles. 1, 2, and that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, whoops, 3, 4. So these Y and Z have 4 right angles. Which one has 2 right angles? Looks like X, right? Right angle here, right angle here. This is not a right angle, nor is this. So we're going to say X. Okay. So we're just comparing the lengths of sides, the features that they have, right? And now it's going to ask us some questions for 8, for 9. Sorry, my neighbor's mowing the lawn and edging. And Juan is a pro. He's a gardener and he does beautiful work. And so he has really good, loud yard equipment. So kind of noisy. All right. 8 says figure blank is a rectangle and a square. Figure what is a rectangle and a square? I'm going to write it on here. So let's look, and you're going to say, that's crazy. You can't be a rectangle and a square at the same time, but you actually can. So if we look at the qualities of which we went over, we reviewed at the beginning. So let's look at what a square has. It's 4-sided. A rectangle is also 4-sided. It has 4 sides of the same length. That's the only way it's different from a rectangle. Opposite sides are parallel, same thing on a rectangle. A square has 2 pairs of parallel sides. So does a rectangle. There are 4 right angles. So does a rectangle. So the only way that a square is different is the length of the sides are all the same, right? This is showing it's a 4-sided figure, just like a square. Opposite sides are of equal length. Yes, same thing on a square. And with a rectangle, we have one side a little bit longer than the other side. Also 4 right angles and 4 pairs of parallel sides. So which figure is both a rectangle and a square? These are both 4-sided, right? They have, I would say probably Z is both a rectangle and a square, right? Are opposite sides parallel? Are opposite sides of equal length? So I would say figure Z is both a rectangle and a square. I know it looks like a square, but it can also technically be a rectangle too. All right, let's look at number 9. Number 9 says figure So a rectangle, or so a square can have a lot of the same characteristics as a rectangle, right? Just it looks a little different because all four sides have parallel partners, right? But and there's two pairs of parallel sides, right? So which figure blank is a rectangle but not a square? So we could say that this one is a rectangle, Y is a rectangle, but it's not a square because it doesn't have equal length. The sides don't have equal length, right? So figure Y is a rectangle but not a square. And then number 10 says figure green box is not a square or a rectangle. And that's of course going to be X. Okay. All right. We're going to look on, we're going to look at 11, 12, 13, and 14. Okay. Okay. So this might be a little bit tricky. Let's see. Tell which figure is a square. Explain how to identify a square. So is A a square? It doesn't have four sides, right? That's the kind of the big key with a square. This also doesn't have four sides. So we know that these aren't even close to being square because they don't have four sides. This one has four sides, but why is it not a square? We have two right angles. I see two pink boxes, but I do not see a pink box here, nor a pink box here. And also, this side's longer than this side, which means that this angle makes it kick out, so it's not a right angle. So we're going to say B is a square. B is a square. And the reason why is because it has four right angles, four sides of equal length, right? You saw the tick marks on there. And then we also have parallel sides, two parallel sides. Okay, so that's one of the reasons we know that it is a square. Number 12 says, which figure, if any, in exercise 11 is a right triangle? So are you seeing any right triangles? I see one triangle. And remember we said in the last lesson, in order for it to be a right triangle, it has to have a right angle. And I see no pink squares. So I do not think that there are any right triangles. There are no pink squares on that triangle. Right? So there are no, you would have one right angle, one pink square would be on that triangle if it were a right triangle. Okay, now number 13 says, tell which one is a rectangle. All right. I know that a rectangle has to have four sides. This does not. This, however, is a right triangle, right? So look, it says what figure of any in exercise 13 is a right triangle? Right here. Beep, 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 beep. B is a right triangle because there's a pink square. This is not going to be a right triangle or a rectangle because it has five sides. So we can ignore these two. Which one of these is a rectangle? I know this looks like a rectangle because it's got 4 right angles. It's got these 2 sides are parallel and these 2 sides are parallel. These 2 are the same length and these 2 are the same length. Why is this not a rectangle? Think about it for a second. What is missing? What does this have that this does not? It has the right angles, correct? So this is a 4-sided figure. It's a both of them are quadrilaterals. They're both 4-sided figures, but this one is not a rectangle. It's technically called a parallelogram because it has parallel sides, but it doesn't have the right angles. So we're going to say C is a rectangle. And the reason why is because it has 4 right angles, 2 parallel sides, and one side matches its parallel side. In other words, there's 2 tick marks on the 2 parallel sides and there's 1 tick mark on the other parallel side. So one side's longer than the other, but it matches the parallel, the opposite length of the opposite. Which figure, if any, is the right triangle? Well, we said B has a pink square. It is a right triangle. Okay. Woo! That's a lot of work for today. We did a lot of work. All right, we're going to stop right there. And hopefully you learned a little bit about squares and rectangles. And you also learned that a rectangle, some figures can be, squares can count as being rectangles and squares. So a square can be a rectangle and a square. It's like a secret agent. All right. Thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you later. We'll do more math together later. Have a good day.